Here's our new tank.
That's the famous.
Which way are you going? You going epoxy or you going?
Some of the tools I'm using, and this thing eats up material, and that all has to go. First coat, just can't touch it too much. What is up, our lovely subscribers? Thank you for watching our videos thus far. Today we're going to tackle a pretty scary project. Here's our new tank that we got from Sunrise Marine Tanks. It's a 120-gallon replacement for our angler. And this is really the reason we started the whole project. As you saw in our past videos, we had 20 pinholes in the bottom of the tank and basically a bilge full of fuel. So Tony at Sunrise Marine Tanks taught us all the steps to prep the boat properly, or prep the tank properly, and we're going to show you. But what we opted to go for, Pettit makes basically a full kit on this. We got Pettit Alumaprotect. It's a 2-part epoxy primer, and then Pettit Protect It, which is a high build epoxy primer, which is supposedly the fuel proof. It's supposed to be like really good. So we're going to start here first by drilling our holes in the new tabs. On the original tank, they were on the outside. I can't do that. It's too rude.
It's fine.
It's too rude.
All right, I'm done. I'm going home.
We're going to start by drilling the holes in each of these mounting tabs here. On the original tank, they were on the outsides. We're going to put ours into some fresh meat on the boat. Put the holes more towards the middle, and we got a 3/8 drill bit for that. After that's done, we're going to determine what we're going to paint and what we're not going to paint, because having paint too close to the fuel sender creates an area for problem. Who the heck is that? All right, I got the painter's tape. I'm just going to tape off a couple areas where we do not want to paint up to. A lot of the steps on here are teaching Austin and I patience, because
we have zero patience.
We're definitely too into the get her done kind of thing and not by the book, but we're trying our best to do everything the right way on this build, and we're learning a lot. We're definitely learning a lot.
About ourselves and the boat.
We're opting to remove the fuel sender, and we're going to tape over it. If we paint it up to the hole, the epoxy will eventually degrade, even though it says it can't. And the gas will get underneath it, or moisture will get underneath it, and then we could have a failure point at the center, and that would be super annoying. What's up, dude?
That's the famous Jason Duke from some of our other videos. Came by to help us.
So which way are you going? You going epoxy or you going that stuff that guy told you?
We're going to use this stuff. Alumaprotect. Epoxy is our first. And then Pettit Protect, it's like a barrier, an outside coat. Because this dries chalky. If you let it sit out, it'll get like bottom paint chalky.
I did
without
a
coat.
mine.
You did? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the tar is supposed to be good, but I don't know. I've seen stuff where you just leave them raw, and you scuff them, and it oxidizes like immediately.
Yeah.
And then you just put it in oxidized.
Yeah.
I think you should cut it with something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my.
Cool thing, Jason came because he has actually done all this before with his Aquasport redo I just learned, and we're going to sand this with 80 grit, get it all dull, knock it down, and then he gave us the idea to just do the bottom, paint it, flip the top.
The bottom and the sides.
The bottom and the sides, and then we're going to flip it and do the top. Hey, we flipped her. Now we're going to sand into about here today, so we can get the first coat of primer on so the tank doesn't oxidize. We're ready to get down to business. Finally, 4 hours of sanding. And we haven't sanded the top yet, but we're gonna flip this over and paint it from the bottom down. And then tomorrow, I'm gonna roll it over, sand the top, give it a full white job, and then we can give it a final second coat. This is what we got. 2 big jugs. This is 3/4 gallon kit. Part A and B, 2-part easy mix setup. It's 1-to-1. Sandblast or disc sand the aluminum to clean bright metal. Wipe clean residue and immediately apply 1 coat of Alumaprotect epoxy primer. Let dry 4 hours minimum, 96 hours max. So got the, let's see, this is part B. I guess I'll put part A in first. This is really thick. It's a 2-part epoxy kind of deal. I'm doing 11 ounces in here. And that's part B, which is very thin. I'm going to mix them up and let them sit for 15 minutes. This is super watery. I don't know if you can see that.
So yeah, with the consistency of water, basically, it applied very easily. After about maybe 10 minutes of rolling it around, the chemical process started to happen and you could totally notice it tacking up.
First coat on the tank. I thought we were going to be done with the entire tank today, but it's 5 hours of work right there. Now we got to flip it over and do the top side, and then do this coat over the entire thing one more time before we put the Pettit protected on it. We're back at it, same day, and I got reefed in my assistant here. The tank, it's been 4 hours. The tank's nearly, well, it is not tacky anymore. So it's kind of cool. Feels like a little bit of a rubberized coating with, I don't know, it's very weird. It feels different than regular paint, or it almost feels like a plasti dip or rubber coat, but it's probably because it's fresh. As it dries, I'd imagine the epoxy would cure a little harder. And we're going to apply the second coat tonight of Alumaprotect to the bottom and sides of the tank.
Subscribe now or else you will be in outer space, in there forever with Luke Skywalker. And
Right on, dude.
no, seriously, you will actually go to space with Luke Skywalker.
This is part B of the stuff. And this is the potent stuff. It stinks. 6 ounces, super thin liquid. I don't know if you can see that there. Super thin. The yellow is like a more epoxy that we're used to seeing product. And this second coat's definitely filling up or covering any of the aluminum you can see underneath. And that's it. Second coat's done. Here are some of the tools I'm using. 3M Extract 2.5. This is about a $450 sander. And today we're using 80 grit sanding mesh. And these are awesome because they don't load up with material. They don't clog, and it just allows for a little faster job. So I've got the 3M Extract, and then I have this Flex vacuum sander. This is not a random orbital. It's just a rotary sander. And this thing eats up material. This is not very forgiving. The 3M random orbital, or any random orbital, is going to be a lot more forgiving and better for the tighter, more detailed spots. But when we're working on the aluminum, especially where there's a weld or baffles, this takes off the material efficiently. I'm going to show you. If I hit it with just the random orbital, this is there's a baffle here. So if I hit it with just the random orbital on the baffle, you'll see how long this could take. Now you can clearly see the visible baffle where there's a hill or a high spot. That would take forever to get rid of all this shiny, and that's not even close to how we want it to look. So now I'm gonna hit it with the flex. In about the same amount of time with the flex, it did 10 times the work that this 3M Random Orbital did. So this isn't just for painting tanks, this is anything you're painting. If you're painting the bottom of a pontoon boat, anything that's requiring a primer coat, very important to sand the material first. That's 95% of the preparation is going to give you the strongest hold. This is an example of when you can think, oh, I got it all roughed up. I see little etches in it everywhere, but no, you still see the shine, and that all has to go. You want it looking like this, totally dull, no shine at all, right here. That's what the whole tank needs to look like, or whatever you're coating for primer, or prepping for primer. Okay, I know this can seem kind of dull and boring, but it's critical that your new tank that you just spent 1,500 bucks on is prepped properly, because you can put a tank in, and if you don't do it right, you can make it worse than if you just didn't coat the tank at all. So what I'm doing here, aluminum oxidizes like that immediately after sanding it. So I had this sanded this morning before I went to a boat show. I am redoing, just scuffing up the top above it and knocking down all the little edges here, because where the paint overlapped, I don't want to have like a seam, so I'm actually going to paint over the side. Okay, this is officially the hardest part of the whole thing to get right. So as you can see in here what it looks like, maybe with where I hit it, that was 80 grit on the Dremel. I was able to do okay, but I'm gonna hit it with this by hand. This, in theory, should be the driest section of the boat in the tank where it's at, but I still want to make it right, or as close to perfect as possible, so I'm going to attempt to hand sand in here. And all your welds are supposed to not have any shine on them. And that is how you prep aluminum properly for paint. No shiny, the welds aren't shiny, everything's ready for paint. Now you got to follow the manufacturer's instructions for the product you're going to apply. I'm using a Pettit Alumaprotect, and that requires this 120 brushing thinner. All you have to do now that I blew off the dust, you wipe this with a clean rag until you get no more aluminum shavings on there, and then you're ready for your epoxy or your paint. But that is specific to the Pettit Alumaprotect. Okay, I got some fresh paper towels. Now this stuff is super potent. Got the garage open and the wind's blowing side or perpendicular to the garage so it's ventilating really well. Still though, you don't want to do this in a closed area. I'm trying to wipe in one direction. You can see all that aluminum material on the rag. Wiping in one direction is going to allow me to push the material down and away from the tank here. See that? Even after I blew it off. I would not use a paper towel in the future. Next wipe, I'm using a shop towel or something like that, because the material and the abrasiveness on the aluminum is actually ripping, or the paper towel is just falling apart. We're ready for paint. I'm gonna let that set up. Let that dry up, I mean. Get some fresh gloves on and mix. Welcome to the mess zone. I am far from a clean painter. Okay, I got a fresh mixing stick and a large 2.5 quart container to stir in. Got the even ratio, pouring in part A. Part B. Here how liquidy thin that is. Okay, now stirring. I'm gonna stir this till I feel like it's fully mixed. Since it's so liquidy, it goes pretty quick. As the product data sheet says, now that we've mixed this, we have to wait 15 to 30 minutes, somewhere in there, for the temperature that we're working with outside. We have tons of working time here, and it's really not, there's no rush. So I could paint it in 2 minutes, or I could paint it in 15, and I'm going to take 15 just to make sure I get it thick and even everywhere. And as it starts to dry, it gets, as you roll it, I don't know what it is, maybe it's with the aluminum or just because it's getting so thin, it actually tacks up very quick. All right, that's a wrap. All right, we're getting ready to apply our final 2 coats of the Pettit Protect. Now, this is a similar epoxy style coating like the Alumaprotect, but this is 3 parts of the gallon to 1 part of this quart. This is, I believe, the hardener, and I've pre-shaken the cans. We're going to shake them a little bit more and get them ready for the mixture.
So you can see that is Pettit Protect Epoxy Primer 4700 gray.
Now you can use this on aluminum, fiberglass. Some people use it for blister protection on like older sailboats before they put their bottom paint on, but this is going to give us our final seal on the tank. And you can see everything's cured, but we're still within the working window of this product. You got the entire top.
If you touch it, it is actually just barely tacky. Barely.
Gel coat.
So we're going to mix these up. We'll be right back and show you us applying it and how it goes on. So these 2 coats have to be applied 2.5 hours apart from each other. It's about approaching 6 o'clock tonight. I'm going to get the final coat on hopefully at 8:30.
It's 61 degrees.
This is pretty cool. So no rushing needed again with this product. It's pretty awesome. So if the maximum dry time between coats is exceeded, you must sand the previous coat thoroughly with 80 grit. Maximum dry time at 60 degrees. Right now we're looking at the 70-degree temp. Minimum is 2.5 hours, max 60 days. So we have 60 days to get the final product on the tank. So there's absolutely no rush. Tonight we're just going to get coat 1 on.
Oh yeah.
So again with this stuff, just like the Alumaprotect, we're supposed to wait 15 minutes before applying it at 70-degree temperature. And we're in the 60s, so we probably can wait even longer. But we're just going to let this sit in the pot for 15 before we start rolling it on.
All right, people. It's been 15 minutes, and we are going to start painting.
All right, I'm going to grab a brush so that I can fine tune.
This is the dip method.
You can just pour it on.
Pour it on. Let's see where that gets us. We have a little bit of an announcement for our followers. We've decided to paint the hull of the boat. We are going to gel coat the hull. It's just what we have. We did a lot of repairs too, and
Our gel coat
It's a 20-year-old boat. It needs a new freshen up, and that's what we're gonna do.
Very cool.
Because you know, I don't have too much going on already. It'll be fine.
It'll be cool. I'm gonna sand it after work as much as I can. And Saturday, this coming Saturday maybe. We have a lot of stuff to do, but I don't want to put the transom bracket on
On an ugly, unfinished
turd.
Drop a comment what color you'd like to see the boat. I like and your choices are basically white, gray, or teal.
So
I think teal would be fun.
Well, the transom bracket's white.
Yes, so that's why teal would work well.
And I'm thinking just keep the whole thing white, because then we're not going to have any like blending issues, or it's just going to be easier to hide little problems. Definitely hitting heavy on the areas where we have an edge, because these things, these tabs, you can't sand in there with any tool that I know of.
Alright, I'll see you on the next one. This weekend, sanding the boat and doing a million other things. We're probably going to test fit this and just keep working getting this boat done so we can spend less time working and more time fishing.
Peace out.